Hello, everyone. You're listening to Turning the Page podcast with Jer and Jel. We will be sharing stories from our life experiences in hopes of providing you with entertainment, encouragement, inspiration, and invoking thoughts on topics we all think about with transparency and rawness. So turn your volume up and let's get started.
Well, welcome everybody back to episode number 9. We are almost at 10 episodes, babe.
I know, I can't believe it.
Wow, it's
going by really fast.
Over 10 hours of talking to you.
We talk way more than that per hour, but yes, this has been a treat.
Yeah, it's been fun.
So, episode 9, we are going to talk about why you won't date me. Reasons why people don't date other people.
This could get us in the weeds, you know that?
I don't know. I guess we'll see what comes out of it.
It's going to be interesting.
I mean, I think it's important to talk about that because some people don't know why people don't want to date them.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, you and I kind of experienced that in the beginning.
Yes.
A little bit.
So thinking back.
Prior to our relationships, I can kind of think back to... I don't know if I've ever... I hadn't really dated like a lot of people during the times that I wasn't like with someone, so I don't know. But I think I'll think of something. There's something that got to come up on that.
Okay. All right. Well, thinking back before I was your wife, before I was your girlfriend,
Mm-hmm.
Do you think I was dateable?
Do I think you were dateable? Yes. But before you and I started dating, I couldn't get past the fact that you were married to Chris.
Yeah.
Because that was just like stuck in my mind. That was like, no, that's Chris's wife.
Right. And for those of you who don't know, Chris is one of Jer's good friends. My late husband who passed away in 2020. So after he passed, you were like, no, that's Chris's wife. For a while, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was just a mindset because that's how I saw you, and that's how I knew you, and that's how I related to you, I guess, in that sense.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it too was I was worried about what a lot of other people thought.
Right.
That was a big thing.
I know.
I was worried that a lot of people wouldn't accept it. I was worried that people that were close to us were going to be either hurt or like kind of reject the thought of it.
Mm-hmm.
And what got me to get over it is spending time with you. Like you and I were spending time together. Even sometimes we weren't even meaning to spend time together, but we were like end up at the same place. And
at the same time.
We would be hanging out and we'd talk and we'd get to know each other a little bit better. But we started going we'd take the dogs out to go on walks or take them to the river or just do different things.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started to share things that I was going through, but you also shared stuff with me. And you know, as I got to know you more, I was like, We
were on a friendship level.
This girl's got some things going on.
And then it was like, oh, we're kind of compatible. We have similarities. We like the same things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Liked a lot of the same things, kind of had the same, not personality, I guess, in a sense. In some ways, yes, in some ways, not. But as far as like being upbeat and enjoying, like, I don't know, guess we're both like the life of the party sometimes. We kind of, hey,
I think you're a little bit more over the top than I am.
No, you are over the top. Yeah.
No.
Yes.
No.
By far.
If you and I were put in the same room with the same crowd, big old party, you would by far be over the top. Yes. If you notice, when we hang out with our friends or groups of people, who's the loudest?
You.
No. No. You are, and I let you be because I don't need to be. I'm not kidding. Like, perfect example.
Oh my gosh.
Let me just say, remember we went to the Valentine's Day dinner and dance at church?
Mm-hmm. I didn't need to do nothing there. I wasn't even feeling good that night.
I know, exactly. So imagine if you were like at the top of your health, like if you were feeling healthy. So first of all, remember we got pulled to kind of be for a couple minutes the MCs for like a portion of the night, right? Who takes the mic? You take the mic.
Well,
who
they
does
gave
the
it
talking?
to me.
You do. Who's the loudest? You're the loudest. I'm just standing there next to you, looking pretty. Like, no, I'm serious, and that's totally fine. I don't mind that. But when you say I'm over the top, oh no, honey, it's all you. Okay.
Wow.
I only step into that role when you're not feeling it. No.
I don't know.
Okay, we're gonna have to ask our friends on that one.
I guess I haven't seen that.
You're gonna start noticing. But yeah, I guess so. So you did see me dateable after you got over the fact.
So before like we ever got to that point to where we were like seeing each other in that way. I mean, I never saw you like that before. Of course, right. I never even had that thought. I mean, there was things that were just like, But once we had talked about it and we started sharing more experiences and time with each other and stuff, then I truly saw who you were and how you were. And, you know, one of the biggest things that I've always told you is that your confidence has always been an attraction to me. You know, looking past your eyes, looking past your beauty, looking past everything else, you know, your confidence has always been like, man, I love that. And in the past, like when you ask this question, like, why wouldn't I date you or why wouldn't I date someone? If they didn't have confidence in themselves, I've dated people like that before. That had no confidence in themselves.
Low self-esteem.
And oh my gosh, it always came up. And that's where like that jealousy thing always came in. If I was talking to another woman or something and I was just being nice to that person, the person that I was dating that didn't have confidence in themselves and who they were, they would automatically feel like I was flirting or I was being overly, you know, oh, really? You just talked to her like that? Oh, you touched her arm or you did this? And I'm like, and I wouldn't even notice because I am like, I'm the type of person that I see someone, I hug them. I'm not touchy-feely. I've been told I'm touchy-feely by people I've been with before, and now I'm like all self-confident, I guess, or self-conscious about it, or self-confident. I'm self-confident. Hey, girl.
We know
what
you are.
Got into that thing. But I'm still, I guess, self-conscious in that way, and sometimes when I catch it or something, but most of the time, I mean, I treat people the way I want to be treated. I like people to be kind to me. And I feel like I'm open to others, and I don't feel. Well, I think that's. I know when I'm flirting. If I'm going to flirt with someone, I mean, it's going to be obvious. I think. I mean, but
and I think that's important is to have confidence. Like I wouldn't date somebody that didn't have confidence in themselves either.
No, it makes a big difference.
It does make a big difference in your relationship when you're with somebody who is confident, who knows themselves, who knows their worth. Who values themselves, you know, takes care of themselves, not just on the outside, but on the inside and spiritually as well. It's just makes the relationship a whole lot better when you're with someone who sees themselves as whole.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know.
So I've got 2 questions for you then.
Okay. Now I'm nervous.
So, do you want me to ask the personal question towards you first or towards someone else?
Whatever you want, baby.
When did you, have you always been confident in yourself and how you carried yourself, or did it take time to where you had to go through some stuff, and then you found like, oh, why am I doing this? Or you weren't. Have you ever not been confident? I guess.
Gosh. So no, I have not always been confident. I think in the past I would hide it well, where I would act like I'm confident, but then deep down I'd be dying and overthinking and thinking, oh my gosh, I should have worn this. Why didn't I wear this? And oh my gosh, my hair. And oh my gosh, I don't like this. And mostly in my 20s and in like teenage
that
years.
You didn't have confidence?
Yeah, like adolescent for sure. Who teenage,
yeah.
you know, but in my 20s, especially when I was a little overweight after I had my son, because I was overweight after that, definitely had no confidence. I was like, dang, all I got is pretty eyes right now. Like, that's how I felt. Like, if you saw me postpartum, and I know like a lot of women postpartum, they all have different bodies, but even like a year to 2 years after postpartum, I was still like pretty heavy. Like right now I'm at the heaviest I have ever been, but I feel confident in my skin and I love who I am. I love the woman I've become so far, and I love my body. Do I wish I weighed a little bit less? Of course, what woman doesn't? But that doesn't stop me from wearing clothes I want to wear. Yeah. You know, when I hit 31, I bought this black dress that showed, you know, my middle, and I would have never worn something like that in my 20s, and I weighed less.
Yeah.
You know, but I think it's just how you carry yourself, how you walk, that says a lot. And so, yeah, my 20s, I wasn't that confident. In fact, when I was single after my divorce, when I would walk, I'd walk like looking at the floor. And that you can tell when a woman isn't as confident, because when she walks, she won't walk straight on, looking directly in front of her. She won't look at you in the eyes. She will look away or look down, because she's not confident. And so I would do that a lot. But now I'm going to walk straight. I'm going to look at you in the eyes. Like, that's just how I am now. And I think it might be an age thing. It might be an experience thing. It might be a little bit of both. You know, I had mentioned, I think in a previous podcast, that I had gone to a party that someone told me, oh, you have a pretty face. Did I mention that?
Yeah, you told me.
And so that comment stuck with me for years. And so I thought, oh, well, that's all I am, is just a pretty face. My body sucks, you know? And so that stuck with me through my 20s too. And of course, after I had my kid too. But then I lost a whole bunch of weight around when my son was around like 3 years old, because we weren't married yet. I wasn't married to his dad yet. And so I lost all this weight for the wedding. And that was like the best. I was the most fit. I was 147.
Is that when you did CrossFit
and
all that
stuff?
CrossFit.
I was a Zumba instructor. I weighed 147 and I felt good and I looked good and felt good in my clothes. And I feel like that was me feeling confident on the outside, but definitely not on the inside. So even though I had the look on the outside, still mentally, I was not confident and wasn't there yet. It wasn't until I hit my 30s where I'm like, screw it. This is me. This is how God made me, and I love me.
So do you think your mental came into play with your confidence in physically in your body? When you came to that point in your 30s that you said like, oh, here I am. Like mentally you stepped into that?
Yeah. Once I hit 30. I finally stepped into mentally. I was like, okay.
Well, that wasn't too long ago, babe.
Well, I'm 34. Okay.
Wow.
I'm almost 35. Yeah.
Almost. You're still got quite a bit to get there. You're more closer to 33
It took a while. And I feel like if I could give any young woman advice, is to step into that confidence as early as possible. Like, love who you are. Look at yourself in the mirror. Do daily affirmations. Whatever you need to do to get your mind to think, man, I love me. You know?
That's huge.
It is.
Because a lot of times we have people in our lives that'll speak down to us.
Oh my gosh. And
or they'll say stuff
had a
about
few.
your body, or they'll say stuff about your personality, or they'll say stuff about the way you look, or what you dress, or the way you dress, not what you dress,
but one person's comment or one person's opinion,
could set you back.
It can set you
time.
back, but you shouldn't, because that's one person out of how many?
Yeah.
Out of way many more, right?
Because I'm sure all your life you've been told, "Oh my gosh, you're so beautiful," but a couple people have said things, and you're like, "Oh well, I'm fat, or I'm this, or I don't look whatever." You know?
Right. And I think part of it also is because I'm an emotional eater. I know a lot of women out there are emotional eaters, right? The ones that are who stress and lose weight, I envy them. I'm like, man, I wish I could lose weight when I'm stressed, because I feel like I'm stressed all the time sometimes lately. And no, I will eat my stress. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to have an ice cream. Oh, I'm going to have hot Cheetos. I'm going to have this. And so, you know, growing up, I apparently was always eating snacks and doing this. And, you know, that became not really much of a confidence booster, because I was stuffing my face.
Yeah.
But I grew out of that. Like, yeah, I like to eat. Who doesn't like to eat? I mean,
I like to eat.
it's one of the things that I love about you, is that we love food and good food. But now, because I'm more emotionally aware of who I am and my triggers, I'm like, okay, I'm feeling this way because of this. I know it will pass. Like, it's just a bad day or a bad moment.
Yeah.
I think you just learn that with time and age and practicing mental practices, talking to yourself. I do that a lot. I talk to myself internally. But yeah, the whole eating thing, that kind of got me stuck to where I wasn't confident for many years too. Especially when you have comments, people telling you like, are you sure you want to wear that? Because, you know, I think that's enough cake, or don't, you know what I mean? Like when you hear those kind of comments growing up.
Really? You just ate, or you just had a snack. Are you really going to eat another one?
Right. Yeah. It kind of messes with you and your confidence.
Your head.
Mm-hmm. And then now I look back at pictures and I'm like, wow, I looked good. Like, I was banging. And now, I mean, I still feel good, but I want to fit into that dress or that size, or, you know, but it's cool. You know, for me now, as I'm older, it's more of a health thing, right?
Yeah.
It's not more of like, how can I look the best on the outside, but more is, am I healthy?
Yeah, you're not trying to attract attention from everybody else the way you look.
Right, I got my boo.
You're just trying to feel comfortable.
I want to feel comfortable in my clothes, more comfortable than I am now. I want to make sure I live long enough to meet my grandbabies. I want to make sure I'm here for my son and your kids. Like, I want to be here. Yeah. And so that's one of the things that I'm focused on now, is more my health, because a few years ago I was told I was pre-diabetic, and diabetes runs in my family. So that's why this year I decided I wasn't really going to drink that much, and I'm going to focus.
Well, you pretty much stopped it. I mean,
once in
a
rare blue occasion I have a drink or two, but I'm just making changes. Yeah. You know, I'm drinking more water. I'm actually eating breakfast and stuff like that. Taking vitamins. I don't take vitamins. I started taking those recently. So, you know, just making those small changes for my health more so than my looks. Yeah. Because, man, I learned, if anything, in my lifetime, I've learned that health is very valuable. Yeah. You know, health can be expensive too. But if you take care of yourself, you know, I guess, what's the word what am I trying to say? That health is, I can't remember the word. I just left a blank. But basically, you know how people lots of people love to chase money. But for me, at the age and the stage that I'm at and everything I've experienced in life, for me, I'd rather chase health, because you can't have money without your health. True. You know, you got to still be here on earth to gain everything else and
see the longevity.
Yeah.
Does
that make sense?
It does. It does. I like it.
That's
and I love your confidence, baby.
Thank you.
Love it.
Thanks.
It's so sexy. It is.
You're
it
too
is.
much.
No, it is. I mean, it, and of course, when I say that, I think like, you know, seeing you naked and the bedroom and all that stuff.
Wow, we're going there.
But that's huge. That's huge. If in the place that you and I connect the most, and that we're probably the closest that we can get to each other, that is massive. I mean, for me, it's beautiful because I see you in that situation, and when we are in that situation, like, here I am, baby. Like,
Yeah.
I'm on a playground and I'm going through.
Oh my gosh.
But no, it does. It makes a big difference. Your confidence in that whole situation, I mean, it makes it so much more enjoyable and so much more exciting and so much more I'm trying to be safe with my words.
Yeah.
But yes, tell. I mean it's a big turn on. It is, and it turns me on.
So confidence, it's a turn on, ladies.
Mm-hmm.
So turn that confidence up. Even fake it till you make it.
For Valentine's Day, I came home, and I had been home earlier in the day, and I left her some stuff, but I made her a little period box and stuff, and when I came home...
A PMS box?
Yeah. What I call it, a period box?
It's a period box, but yes.
But I got home from work. I had got off of work, and I was like, I'm going to surprise her with this. Well, she surprised me.
With hardly anything.
Oh, yeah. You didn't have anything on when I walked in the door.
Oh, that's what you're talking
about?
I thought you were talking about the chocolate
covered
strawberry.
It's like, hey, babe. I'm like, wow. Anyways.
Wow. I literally thought you were talking about the chocolate.
No, and I recorded this whole thing because Deveray told me, record it, get her on. I want to see her reaction. Me too. And
oh my gosh. Okay, I remember. Yeah.
And even I had my phone and I was recording. You thought she would have been like, oh no, run away. No, she was just like, hey baby, here I am. Happy Valentine's Day.
Well, he gets home from work with my PMS box. He wanted to record my reaction. And I greet him at the door with no clothes.
It was awesome.
Well, I was like, and then I got caught on. I was like, are you recording? I was like, babe, I'm naked.
Oh, yeah, but and what does she do? She grabs her box, walks to the kitchen. Yeah, she was like that for quite a while.
I didn't think you were going to share that. Look at you, always make me teary-eyed when we talk.
Yeah. Hey, it's real. Cry. It's real and raw. You know, we were real and raw last week. Now it's your turn.
Wow.
No, but I love your confidence. I love that the fact that you carry yourself in that way, and it's a big turn on.
So you wouldn't date somebody that didn't have confidence? Me neither.
No, because I've met girls prior to when I would there for a while I was dating, and I would meet someone and talk to them, and like you talk to them first meeting them, you know, hey, how are you? How's your day? How's everything going? Da da da. You know, you got all the small talk, and then you ask them, you know, hey, can I take you out to dinner? And they're like, yeah, I guess, you know, yeah, we can go. But when you're sitting across from someone and you're talking to that person, then like you really see their confidence in themselves. Mm-hmm. Like I remember the first, you and I kind of went in and had tacos and stuff, but like we didn't ever have to get into that point to like where we had to really meet each other for the first time.
Right.
When we started like having that attraction and dating each other in a sense. But like you've always been, I mean, I've never seen you at a place where you were like, oh, you know, I don't know, where you didn't show confidence. No, because even in the times that you were struggling with some emotional stuff because losing Chris and that part of things, you were still confident in who you were.
Yeah.
Like you were struggling through the loss, but you were never.
I know who I am.
Yeah, you were always confident in who you were. You knew who you were as a person. You knew who you were as a child of God. You knew who you were as a wife. You knew who you were like in all those areas as a mother. And like there's so many women that just they're not confident in, if any of them, you know. So
yeah.
And I'm sure you've experienced the same thing. That was the other question I was going to ask you. Have you ever dated someone that had low self-esteem or didn't have confidence?
Well, when I think back, there's only one person.
You don't have to say names. You don't want to.
They'll know who they are, I think. But okay, yeah, there's been one, and this person, they weren't that confident. They would get jealous if I talked to a guy. Like, perfect example. We were at a club celebrating a birthday. But I was so tired. First of all, I wore the wrong shoes, of course. I was also pregnant with Carter. And I was so tired, but it was packed. There was like nowhere to sit. Nowhere at all to sit. And, you know, being pregnant in the first trimester, you're always tired. You want to sleep. Okay. Well, there was finally one seat that opened up. So I took it. I just sat down with strangers. I mean, it was like a bench. It wasn't like a table or anything. But the guy that was next to me was already there. And he started talking to me. And I don't know. I don't even know what the conversation was about. It was about nothing, really. Plus, I was there with my son's dad, right? So, but he got jealous because this guy was talking to me, even though I didn't start the conversation. And I was just tired and I wanted to sit down. So those kind of moments, you know, where though I can't control who talks to me.
Yeah.
You know, but that's coming from someone, in my opinion, who had a low self-esteem at the time, who wasn't as confident. And, you know, and that was also early 20s, of course. Yeah. Well, I think actually I was 19 at the time, 19, 20. And so, you know, it was.
And you were in a club?
I was in a club.
At 19?
Yeah.
20?
It was an 18 and over club.
Oh, okay. I was gonna call you out.
In El Paso, Texas, because we don't have 18 and over clubs in Albuquerque.
No.
So
just no alcohol or
yeah. I mean, back in that time, there was more. Now it's different, but so that was just one example. But you know, and people with low self-esteem like that and lack of confidence, they'll question you. And they'll ask you, like, if you're looking at your phone for too long, like, oh, who's that?
Yeah.
Or who are you texting? Or if you put your phone face down, they're like, want you to put it up. And they want to have all your passwords. And it's because they're not confident in themselves. They have a low self-esteem. And so that's how it comes out, at least from my experience. So, yes, I've dated one. I'm not trying to talk bad about my child's father, you know, because I think he's a great dad and a great person. Yeah. But that was my experience in my 20s with him, is that he needed that confidence boost and a higher self-esteem, you know. And you can tell, because when you're with someone, with anyone, like your partner, you can tell they have certain mannerisms that make them seem like they're not confident. Like if they're self-conscious about their arms or something, they might wear long sleeves. Or if they don't like their ears, they'll wear a hat all the time and cover their ears. Or, you know what I mean? Like you see these things in them. Even though it doesn't bother you.
It usually stands out when someone does that. Have you ever dated anyone else that didn't have confidence? Like that you noticed and you're like, no.
Actually, no, I have not. That was the only one. I haven't been with anyone else that has not been confident.
Yeah. Usually when you're walking in confidence, you're going to attract that person that is confident.
That is right. When you walk in confidence, you attract confidence.
Because when I think back telling you that the person, like, when I had dated someone, I didn't even date them. I took them out on a date. I had just started getting to the point to where I was more confident in myself because I had a low self-esteem. I was told I wasn't a good husband. I was told I wasn't a good father. I was told all this stuff, right? So I was carrying that thinking, I'm a failure. I'm miserable. I must not know how to do this, and this, Mm-hmm. So when I finally started getting to that point of like, no, that's not true. I am a good father. I am a good husband. And I know those things and I believed it because I know. I started to walk in that confidence, and then when I had met someone, it stood out. I was like, no.
Yeah.
So
what's another reason you wouldn't date someone?
Someone who's selfish, someone who's not a good listener. I've had that.
Do you think I'm a good listener?
You are. You're a really good
Sometimes
listener.
I feel like I could do better.
Sometimes, once in a long while, but most, like 96% of the time, like
okay,
you're very intentional in when you're listening. When a lot of times, like we'll have conversation if we're doing something, we're gonna start talking, like you're on your phone or you're doing something, you'll put it down and you listen to me. That's a huge thing. When I start talking to you about something, or I'm starting to share something about, my day or what happened or what I feel, like you'll hear me out. Yeah, so someone that has like shows arrogance, I don't like that. Confidence is one thing.
You've dated
arrogance,
someone that was arrogant?
Yeah. That's all they do is talk about themselves.
Yeah.
They're better than everyone else. Their friends are always lower than them. Everyone's lower than them.
Wow.
People in their jobs are lower than them.
Why do they even have friends?
And that's something that I think of too, is like, I don't think you have real friends if you're that type of person. I think people that are around you are either there to self-gratify or just
to make themselves feel good
because they think you're the popular person, or because there's some people like that. They think they're the life of the party, and where they go, they're like everything, And there's people that do follow people like that. True. Because they think they're a certain way, everyone else like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, no, thank you.
It's like people who keep friends on Facebook for the likes and comments, even though they don't even talk to them in real life.
Yeah. And then behind everybody's back, they've always got something to say to belittle or to put those people down, So
yeah, I don't like arrogance either.
Yeah. It's destructive.
Other reasons I have not dated someone, of course, in my 20s or even before that, is if they're too short. Like, I'm 5'2.5", and so I'm already short. Mm-hmm. So definitely wouldn't date anybody shorter than me. But I want to still be short even in my heels. So you gotta be tall enough for me to wear heels. That was a thing for me. And now I don't even wear heels. So
you do.
No, it's rare. I don't
got those 5-inch heels.
Ooh, but back in the day, I'd wear them all the time. And now I'm like, okay, how many hours I got to wear these? Okay, I'm going to pack these flats.
How far are we walking? We're driving, right? Where are you going to park at? We're just walking from the car to the restaurant, right?
If it's going to be a long night of standing and dancing, I'm definitely packing cute flats, because we're not at the age. We're at the age where we have to preserve our feet. I'm at that age. I'm all about comfort, but also style at the same time. And some heels can't provide both. But
pull it off,
so that's another reason why women won't date someone, is they don't have the height. But I feel like if they just got that out of their mentality, like, oh, they have to be taller than me, they would probably find a really good man, because their soulmate or their life partner might be someone who's a little bit shorter or the same height, you know, and they're losing out on a whole group of men because they don't want to date someone who is as tall or shorter.
I think a lot of people miss out on finding good companions or good spouses or good partners because of whatever their the situation list is.
Oh my gosh, their list. Height's not just the only thing.
A lot of times it's so vain.
It is. Know? They have to make a certain amount of money. They have to have a certain type of job. They have to have a car. They have to own a house. They have to, you know, there's a lot of things that women and men look for.
Yeah.
They can't have any kids. Well, guess what? Everybody, pretty much almost everyone has kids or is divorced.
Yeah. It's hard to
very find rare to find someone in their 30s who's never been married and has no kids. It's rare.
Yeah.
You know? So, I mean, if you find them, man, they're a gem. You better keep them because, I mean, they're around. It's just really rare. Just like it's rare to find someone who's still a virgin.
Yeah.
You know? So, those are a dime a dozen. I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, that's true.
So those are just some things like on a woman's list. Like for me, yeah, it was a height thing, but you know, I didn't care what you did for a living as long as you had a job. So as long as you can hold a job down, you know, for longer than 2 months, drive. Yeah. And not be jumping from job to job. Like, oh, I'm gonna do this year and this next. Because a woman wants consistency and security. Like if she sees that, if she meets you and you're like working, but then 2 months later you quit or you get fired and then you have another job and then again another 6 months, and then that is not stable. That does not provide that security and stability and consistency that a woman needs in a relationship. So that's a red flag for me. I would be like, nope, can't.
Well, I think if you see people, if there's certain habits that you have in your life that show up in one area, I feel those habits show up in other areas as well. If you're not giving your all and your best in the small things that you do, you're not going to give your all and your best in the big things that you do. Mm-mm. Like I've one of my pet peeves too is when I get a job, I stay at a job. Like I think most of my jobs that I've been at, one of the first jobs I had, I was there for 9.5 years. Mm-hmm. And then I went to another one, I was there for a year. And then my next one was like 5 or 6 years. Yeah. And then, you know, so I try to put longevity in a job because by doing that, not only does it look great on your resume, but it also, you get a chance to learn things. If you're jumping from one place to another, to another, to another, to another, you don't really ever build yourself in those areas. You're just constantly, you know, searching. I've known people that have done that.
You don't become good at one thing.
No,
you become okay in several things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like as long as you have a job, right? Even if you are at least you haven't figured out what you want to do yet, but you have a job and you don't quit that job until you find another one, I feel like that is even okay. It's like, okay, they're responsible enough that they're going to find a job first before leaving their current one so that there's no...
Well, yeah, in a lot of that sense, too, you're not just living off of emotion. Mm-hmm. So many people make so many decisions off of just emotions that you throw so much away. Like when one of my jobs that I got into, when I stepped into it, it wasn't in a place of position. It wasn't in a place of authority. It wasn't in a place of anything. It was a basic, you're hired, here's your hourly rate, you're going to make $8 an hour, $8.50 an hour. And, you know, I did that, I think, for almost 2 years, even though I had a degree in like marketing, but I couldn't find a job in that. But because I stayed, like a year in, 8 months in, I could have easily said, they're there's no way I'm going to move up in this. I'm not going to get this. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to jump to something else. And I probably could have at that time. In fact, I could have, because someone came in and offered me a job because they said, oh, you got great customer service. You're really good with people. Da, 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 da. Would you want to come work with us? I'm like, no. And which, glad I didn't, because then after that time that I had stayed there, when I did get promoted, like I got promoted, and then I got up into management, and like it made a big difference. But if I wouldn't have had that longevity, then that would have been, I would have missed out on a lot.
Yeah.
And I got a lot of experience from it. So.
Well, other reasons. What are other reasons that you wouldn't date someone? From a man's perspective.
Besides the obvious stuff, like someone who's like on drugs and all crazy.
I know, right?
A violent past, or is violent. Not even a violent past, but someone who's violent.
You obviously would date someone with kids.
I would.
Some people won't. Yeah.
No, I don't see that as a turnoff. I don't see that as a bad thing. I don't think I've ever seen that as a, like, I love children.
I have friends that say I would prefer them to not have kids.
Yeah. Well, I think some people in that mindset, depending where you want to go and what you're trying to do, or if you just want all that focus and attention just on you and you don't want to share that with anybody, I can see it in that sense. But
some people don't want to raise other people's kids.
That is hard. That is difficult.
You know, because
that is difficult. I've done that before.
They're a bonus parent. They're going to be an extra pair of hands, and and living with the child too. So they don't want anything to do with that.
Yeah, I think you have to take into consideration, like when you and I started dating. I knew you had Carter. I mean, that wasn't like a surprise. Like, oh, you got a son. I already knew of him. But I didn't know before I knew you, like when we started hanging out and stuff, like I didn't know about Carter's dad. I didn't know who he had in his life. Was he involved in his life? Is he a good dad, or is he a dad that doesn't show up? Is he a dad that takes care of his son, or is he a dad that makes promises and doesn't do it? Because I've been in that relationship.
Right.
And oh my gosh, it was.
Oh, I know your experience.
It was a competition. It was like constantly like, well, you're supposed to be like, I don't know. It was a mess. Like, I could never fill that position. Not that I ever wanted to fill that position or tried to fill that position. I knew that I could have been a support in that position, but I was never seen as that. It was like, well, that's their dad. Like, it was crazy.
See, but for then me, it was important. It is important to be with someone who understood that, hey, I have Carter 50% of the time. His dad has him the other 50%, and we alternate every other week. He's very much involved. Like, I have to talk to him from time to time. Like, we talk maybe once a week, sometimes just every couple weeks, just because Carter's schedule sometimes changes and stuff like that. But, he was a big part of my life. He's still a part of Carter's life. I would like to say that we are friends, right? Yeah. And I have no problem with that. We have history, yes. Right. It's no longer like a romantic one. It's more like, hey, how are you doing? You doing okay? Like, because as the father of my child, like, I want him to be good. I want him to succeed. I want him to be healthy. Like, Carter has to see him 50% of the time. And I want him to see that his dad is doing well too. Yeah. I don't want him to see his dad differently. Yeah. So that is important to me. And you see that, and you don't even care, which is awesome, because you understand the relationship. Yeah. Whereas other people might be jealous or take it as a threat. Like, oh, but see, you and I are married, and we know what that means to us. We made a covenant before God, and we hold that high. And other people might not see it that way, right? And to me, it's like, I'm married. You got nothing to worry about, baby.
Yeah.
No.
Well, and the thing is, you show that. Like, you show that to me. Like, I have I never have second thoughts or doubts on anything of that.
Yeah.
Like I love Manny. I think he's awesome. I've always been impressed with how he is as a father, and I love that he's involved with Carter, and I love that he's supportive to you in that sense. Like, you guys have a really good relationship. Those are things I think that I've always wanted, but I've never had in a sense. Like now I do with Elijah and his mom. Like, we have a really good relationship where we take care of him, and we focus on him as a you know, we understand that it's going to benefit him, that if we have a healthy relationship, that health goes to him, because he doesn't see that disengagement, or doesn't see us arguing and fighting. Like, her and I haven't had a disagreement in
and you
forever,
know what I really love is that you have that relationship with her where you guys can text and call and talk, and it's fine. And you know, it's always about Elijah, but you guys have history too. And I like that we all went to lunch together. Like, me, you, and Elijah's mom went to go eat. And she was like, welcome to Team Elijah. I was like, thanks. And, you know, because, you know, Elijah is 10 years old and he has Down syndrome. Yeah. And so he has special needs. And, you know, I just wanted to learn a little bit more. And of course, moms always know more than dads. Sorry, baby, but they do. Okay. I think she knows him a little bit better. But it was nice to meet her, to introduce myself, and like get to know like how she is as a mom, and how she does things in her household versus how we do things in our household. And you know, there were some similarities, like, you know, how to get him to do his homework. He doesn't like doing his homework and stuff like that. And, you know, that snapping thing does work. I tried it. She was like, oh, just snap. He will know he needs to get on it. I was like, okay. And it works. Like, so, you know, it's just really nice to have that kind of relationship with the other parent. Yeah. And I'm glad you have that with at least his mom, and that we have it with Carter's dad, because there's no reason to not have a good relationship for the kids. Yeah. You know, we can go to Carter's football games and basketball games and track meets and sit with his dad and all be fine. And I think it's important for Carter to see that too. You know, like, my parents are divorced, but they're still really good friends. Yeah. And they have been throughout pretty much my whole, you know, growing up years and to today. So I saw that healthy relationship between two divorced parents. And so for me, I don't know anything else. Like, the whole hating each other, like what you have with your first ex-wife, I was like, I don't understand that at all, you know, because that's not what I grew up with. Yeah.
And it's healthy whenever you do have that good relationship for the child, because they're not raised with all these issues and problems and questions, and like with my like Christian and Desiree and Joshua's mom, like, we don't have, like, I know. I haven't talked to her, and I wouldn't probably talk to her. I think the last time I had to have a discussion with her is when our divorce was like finally coming to an end, and that was it. Like, and that was, oh my gosh, I don't know how many years ago. I know. How many years back, but
a long time.
But you know, but there's a lot of bad stuff there. Right. Just like when someone is being purely evil or purely deceiving and manipulative and all this stuff on that
it's
end,
hard to have a relationship.
You can't make any of that. No matter what you do, you can't make that right. Right. Until that person decides.
Both of you to want to have the good relationship with the kids.
And when you look at like yours and Manny's relationship, like, stuff happened between you guys. Your relationship fell apart in a sense, as like your love relationship, but your parenting relationship has never like broken, from what I understand. Like, you guys have always kept that focus. Like, and why? Because you want your son to come up well with no like mind issues and all these things of
even
doubting.
Through, like, the first 3-4 years of our divorce, which were a little, I wouldn't say we were friends at that time. We were kind of like back and forth fighting over Carter and stuff. But But even then, it was Carter first, his best interest. We were on the same page when it came to raising him, regardless of how we felt. So, but yeah, those are just some things to think about if you want to date someone who has kids, or if you're thinking about dating someone who has kids. There's a lot of things that go into that.
Yeah.
And you have to make sure that you want to date someone like that. So,
and it's going to affect your children. It's going to affect that relationship with your children too. So
yeah,
that's something that you do have to really consider and say, hey, if there is those issues of that person feels threatened, or that person feels jealous, or that person feels certain feelings of it, why do you feel that way? Because I know with you and me, like, you give me every reason to not doubt you once. Like, I've never had any question of anything that you do.
Never will, baby.
When you talk, and I know throughout the week you have questions, or not questions, but you guys have conversation stuff, and I don't have to.
But I
don't sit there thinking like, well, what'd you talk about, and what'd you do, where were you?
Oh, so I talked to Manny today. This is what he said, and talked about this, and like, I have nothing to hide. I make sure you know everything. Yeah.
And there's a big difference when you're willing to share that information. And like, even just like with the way we're, like you said earlier, like sometimes when you're with a person who's jealous and controlling in that sense, like, they want to see your phone. They want to know who you talk to. Let me see your text message. Let me do this. Let me do that. Like, and we're in that space where we have that open, but it's never been because, like, I don't trust you. It's like, I don't have anything to hide, Here, you know how to get in my phone. You know how to check everything. You've got my location where I'm at throughout the day. And
I know.
I got yours, but
you can't surprise me anymore.
It's not something that, yes, I can. Turn off that GPS.
We'll see. Just kidding.
But it brings a lot of health, and you want your family unit to be healthy. And we have that, and I love it.
We do. I love it too. I like it a lot. And you make things fun. That's actually one of the things that made you dateable, by the way. It was that you're fun and exciting, and you're always so silly and goofy. And oh my gosh, I can't tell you, like, you have made me laugh so much in the past year and 4 months. In the past year and 4 months, I have not laughed as much as I have this past year and 4 months. Like, for real. I mean, to the point where, of course, I've peed my pants. I've cried, laughed, like, more than once. I mean, that was what made you really dateable to me, is your sense of humor. Yeah. And you're just so easygoing. And I like that. You bring, like, this peace and calmness. I don't feel like I'm walking around eggshells with you.
Yeah. And you shouldn't have to feel that way.
I feel comfortable.
I can
be myself.
And you should be
loud
yourself.
And crazy if I want to.
And she is. I at work today, there's a lady that I work with that's in our advertising department, but she's from another city, so she's from Rio Rancho. Well, we had training today. And when I was walking in through our lobby, like, there's a really big lobby in our area, so it's like this huge place. And I'm walking through, and she's walking out, and I tell her hi. I was like, hi, how are you? How are you doing? She's like, oh my gosh, Jeremy, how are you? She's like, I just heard. And I'm like,
I heard
what'd you hear? Like, what are you excited about? Because I want to know. She's like, you got married. Like, she's trying to be quiet about it. Like, oh my gosh, you got married, And I'm like, yeah, I did.
That's so funny.
And she's like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited for you. She goes, so the picture you have on your screen, that's your wife? And I was like, yeah, that's her. Oh my gosh, she's so beautiful. Oh my god,
hilarious.
And she's asking, like, how's marriage? How's this?
When
how's
was
that? This morning, I forgot to tell you.
Yeah, you did.
And
that's funny. That's
so
cute.
I'm telling her, like, she's saying, how's marriage? Are you enjoying it? I was like, oh my gosh. I said, Susan, I love it. Like, I really do. Like, I love being married. I love that I have the spouse that I have. I love how she treats me. I love how she loves me. And she's
I love being married
and
too.
and she's like, oh my gosh, that's because I've kind of shared a little bit with her in the past when I first started and stuff. And so she's like, I'm so happy for you. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy for you. And she's like, how did you meet her? And I was like, oh my gosh, Susan. I was like, that's a long story. I was like, I won't go there. I was like, I can't tell you the whole thing, but the one thing I did get to is like, I kind of shared how our relationship started, and that your husband, that Chris was a good friend of mine, and that we had gotten to it. And she had said, oh man, she goes, how is that? How was that? And I said, it's been tough. I said, but you know what? One of the things that covers all this and makes it all go away, like every little negative thing, not everyone accepts what we've done. Not everyone supports us. There's some people that are close to us that we thought would be standing strong with us, and they're not. And there's other people that were further away and they came close and like they're standing with us. I said, but the most beautiful thing is like I've talked to family, and like I'm not, and I don't even approach them. Like they approach me, and they come and tell me. Like even in El Paso, when we were out there this past weekend, one of your family friends, the wife had came up and she goes, Jeremy, thank you so much. She's like, thank you so much. And I'm like, thank you for what? What are you thanking me for? I didn't do nothing, And one of the beautiful things that it just makes my heart so happy is she goes, look at your wife. And I look out, and on the dance floor, and of course Jell's doing her thing, and she's all being herself and dancing. She goes, I haven't seen her like that. She goes, I have not seen her like that before.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, that's awesome. That's beautiful. And I've been told that like a couple times when we were in LA. Your aunt, Aunt Julie told me that. And she said the same thing. She's like, thank you for treating my niece so well. Thank you for loving her. Thank you for taking care of her. Thank you for doing this and that. She goes, thank you for, and one of the things that they always say, thank you for allowing her to be who she is and not changing her.
Yes, because I am comfortable around you, and I feel like I can be myself.
Yeah, I can too.
Unrestricted.
Definitely ourselves.
Unedited. Uncut. All of the above. Yeah.
Wouldn't have it any other way, baby.
I know. Yes, it's a really big deal when you can be 100% yourself. Like, a lot of people hide who they are in front of people, but then they're a different person behind closed doors. That's not me. I don't like to do that. I don't like to be someone at home and someone else in public. I just can't do that.
Yeah.
There's been times in my life where I have felt like I had to tone myself down to accommodate people that I was hanging out with or accommodate the crowd or whatever. I don't like that. It didn't make me feel good that I had to tone myself down for someone.
Well, you feel suppressed. You feel like you can't be yourself.
Yeah, you feel like you're kind of bottled up and you trying to break out, out of your shell that you've been shut in.
Well, you ain't got no shell no more, baby. You ain't no turtle, that's for sure.
No, I ain't. I'm a butterfly.
Flying free.
Oh, man.
I think we're still recording. I hope. So we want to thank you guys for once again joining in to us with Turning the Page with Jer
and Jell.
And don't forget, like, subscribe, comment. Give us some feedback, guys. Let us know what you guys think about this. If it's being supportive towards you and being helpful.
I would really like to know what is your one deal breaker or one thing that you wouldn't take someone. We all have them.
See you next week.